Hi, in this video we're going to work on Take the A Train. In one of the videos I did on this tune, we went over the melody and some of the basic chords. So now we're going to work on just some more voicing ideas, things that you can play. So most of this we'll think of this as using this as voicings that you might play along with a bassist and a drummer, or just a bassist, or really any kind of group, but not so much as a solo thing. Although you could use some of the voicings for that. All right, so let's take a look at the voicing. So our first chord is C6. So let's try this out. This voicing here. Okay, so we have the 6, we have the 3, 5, and the root note. Okay, so here's our root note, so it's a good idea to keep track of that. Okay, so let's think about another spot that we could play. So this would also work for us as a C6 chord, bass here. Okay, so we have the 3rd, 6th, root, and 5th. Okay, so those two are going to work really great. Let's go over a couple more that you might also try to use. But I would keep these two as kind of your go-to shapes, since the 3rd and the 6th is kind of on the middle 2 strings. Okay, but we could also play this chord, and this gives us the 5th, root, 3rd, and the 6th. Okay, and then we can also go up here, play this chord. So this is root, 5th, 6th, and 3rd. So all valid chords that you can use. And then you may also try to just take those to other strings as well. For example, this chord we talked about, this one. Okay, so, and the others as well. Okay, so that you can play those throughout the neck. All right, so that's the idea, and I might not go over all of that with each one of these chords, but that's the process you want to go through, so that you have access to all of different shapes. So depending on where you are and where you want to go. All right, so let's check out this next chord. So we have D7. We have the sharp 11. So one thing that's kind of interesting about this chord is that you can play this chord here. We have the bass note here. And you can play that same shape here. Okay, so here we have 3, flat 7, root, sharp 11. And then here we have flat 7, 3, sharp 11, root. Okay. And then you can play this. It's another option. Sharp 11, root, 3rd, flat 7. This is all on D7. And you could actually play that same shape here. So root, sharp 11, flat 7, and 3. So you have these two, this shape, and you have this shape. Okay, now we could also add nines to these chords. So let's say we take this chord, add a 9. So that's going to work nicely. This chord that we played here, so if we add a 9 to that, that's going to end up here. This chord, add the 9. So we're replacing the root with a 9. Okay, so some ideas for you there. But again, like I said with the C6, having the lowest note on the 3rd or the 7th is going to serve you pretty well. Okay, so these two voicings, or these few voicings here. All right, so our next chord is D minor. So let's just take a look at the first inversion of D minor. Okay, and so that has the 3rd on bottom. And let's look at the 7 on bottom, so flat 7. Okay, so those two are going to be very useful, and then the kind of the ones in between here, this chord and this chord. Okay, now let's try replacing that root again with a 9. So let me go through that. This compared to this. This compared to this. This versus this. And then this one. So there with the 9. So the second voicing I played in each one of those cases had a 9. So it just replaced the root with a 9. All right, and then we get into the G7. Okay, so there we have the 3rd inversion. Let's look at the first inversion. So again, those with the flat 7 on the bottom, with the 3rd on bottom. Okay, and then kind of the ones in between. Position. Okay, and then second inversion. All right, so so let's go with those for now, and then we'll go back to the C6. Okay, so let me just show you some possibilities here. So this is over the first A. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so just an example of how you might use some of those things. All right, so the next part, we kind of go through the same thing. We've got the C6, so you could play a couple of your voicings from that. We have the D9, sharp 11. The D minor, the G7, the C6, and then we go to the C7. Okay, so let's look at a couple of voicings of that. So we've got 3rd inversion, 1st inversion. Okay, so we also have some other chords. We have the 2nd inversion, and then we have the root. Okay, so so with that and dominant chords you can really do a lot with, but why don't we just try changing those into 9 chords quick here. All right, and then that takes us to the bridge. So let's go over some shapes for that. So again, we'll talk about the first inversion and third inversion. Okay, let's look at root position. And then the second inversion. Okay, and so the 9 is a real nice addition to those chords. So let's take third inversion there. We have the 9 replacing the root. We have the 9 replacing the root there. The 9 replacing the root there. And 9 replacing the root here. Okay, and so one thing that you'll find is too that with the first and the third inversions, it's pretty kind of safe, I guess you might say, to add the 9 or other extensions to it. And the other ones, it's fine too, but you'll find very little conflict if you add those to the higher notes in your voicing. So something like that. But it's great to know all of them so that you can maybe have the freedom to just move voices around a little bit. All right, so next up we go to the D9. Okay, again, so you can take the third inversion of D7 and the first inversion, D7, third inversion. Look at the second inversion in root position. And again, try to do this on all string combinations. But you'll get a lot of effective use out of the first 4 strings as far as range goes. So let's look at putting that 9 in there. So this one becomes this one becomes this one, this one. Okay, and then we're into D minor, so I've kind of gone through this already. D minor, we can add the 9 to that voicing, so that's first inversion. Second inversion, so we can add 9 to that. Or technically it's not an add 9 chord, but we're adding the 9 to the voicing. So we're replacing the root with the 9. D minor 9. D minor 9. And then D minor 9. Okay. All right, so next up we have G7. So we've gone over this one as well. So we'll replace the root with the 9. So we get this. Okay, and then the next chord there at the end, we have the G7 with the flat 9. So we'll replace the the root note, the flat 9. So it's interesting there, when you take a dominant chord and you replace the root with the 9, you get the same kind of relative notes for each. Get the diminished seventh voicing there. Okay, so let's take a look at just kind of playing the bridge with some of these ideas. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's the bridge, and so that pretty much covers everything. So we have one more A section, so we could play our C6 chords, D7, D minor, 7, G7, into the 6. All right, so I'll play just an example of comping over the whole form here using these voicings that we talked about. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea for playing some of the voicings on Take the A Train. Thanks so much for watching, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow on Facebook, and if you have any additional questions, please let me know. You can write a comment below or get in touch with me. I've got contact information in the description. Well, thanks again, and I hope you have a great practice session.